Hello and welcome to the All Together Now Festival in the Curramore Estate in County Waterford for this arena special. We're here on RTE's Now stage in the All Curious Minds area, and with me on this stage 4 young actors who have achieved successes in their relatively short careers that many haven't achieved in an entire lifetime. So who is with me? Well, I'll tell you that shortly if you're listening on radio. But if you want to see who's with me, you can watch us. We're broadcasting this online as well, rte.ie/culture, and you'll get it in full live Technicolor there. He's been a loudmouth rugby coach in John Butler's Handsome Devil, a frightening criminal in Frank Berry's Michael Inside, and a much-loved son in Terry McMahon's Patrick's Day. And while it took swords, axes or bows and arrows to kill many of the characters in the Vikings, it was a simple bee sting that finished him off as Ethelwulf after 4 seasons of the popular TV series. He's only a hop, skip and a jump from home, he tells me. He's Moe Dunford. She is a little bit further from home, and that's no matter whether you consider her home to be her native Galway or Derry, the city that most likely has adopted her for her portrayal of Claire Devlin in the enormously successful Derry Girls. Although I think Devil was part of the reason they gave her that name. You see, Freudian slips, always the best kind. The real life woman on whom the character is based asked the writer Lisa McGee if she was that wee crying one, the one that's whinging all the time. But like the rest of us, the real Claire eventually came to love the wee crying one, played by Galway's Derry girl, Nicola Coughlan. Now, far end, even though he's a Cork native, he still had to get special guidance to perfect the particular brand of Cork accent spoken by young offender Conor McSweeney. For his character, he's also had to learn how to handle fish on his mass stall in Cork's English market, grow a kind of moustache, and sport a hairstyle that makes a mullet look like haute couture. But after the hugely successful feature film and several seasons of the spin-off TV series, I'm sure he's more than happy to have a bit of ribbon about his mullet-style haircut and his kind of moustache, which I'm not sure if it's there or not. He's Young Offenders, Alex Murphy. And last but by no means least, while many spend time sneaking out of college lectures, she found herself sneaking into them. And that was while she was still a pupil at secondary school. But then she'd already made significant strides in the film world in her early teens with her performance as Amy in Frank Berry's I Used to Live Here. More recently, she played opposite the aforementioned Moe Dunford in Hugh O'Connor's directorial debut Metal Heart. She's also a Dublin and Leinster boxing champion, so behave yourself. She is Jordanne Jones. And we're inside the tent, and the rain is outside the tent. Now, if that's not all enough for you, we'll be having live music from Dundalk's David Keenan, who I thought was sitting on that empty chair, but hopefully he's not too far away because he will be playing for us during the show. You know, I was thinking when I was told the panel that I had for this particular program, I thought if you wrote to Santa for 4 Irish actors and you got the 4 of you, you'd be pretty happy. But I'll start with you, Moe. What is it like to be doing something in County Waterford? I think you said to me just before you came on stage, you live literally over there.
I live literally over that mountain over there. It's like a stone's throw away. And my old drama teacher, Miss Margaret Denny, is in front of me. That's kind of how I got into acting.
Yeah, good woman, Margaret.
I did West Side Story when I was 16 and she taught me. Great to see you.
Who did you play in West Side Story?
Riff, the Jets.
Oh, right. You were the nasty guy.
No, he was cool.
And was there much dancing in that?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah, and singing.
All right.
Yeah.
So go on, being this close to home and getting to actually, I suppose, speak directly to your audience and your local audience, it must be a great feeling.
It's I've never seen a festival like this. I've been to many festivals and sometimes I get a bit of a dodgy vibe. Every vibe I feel here is just safe and cool and relaxed and steady.
One of the things that I wanted to talk to you all about was this, you know, how you kind of come into acting. But there was one thing that I noticed in the case of all 4 of you, that you know, there were times when you could have gone other routes, perhaps, and quite definitely times when you really saw a part and you put your mind on it and you decided, I'm absolutely and definitely going for that part. And I think the one for you, Mo, that was most the case was Patrick's Day. Now, just tell us where you were in your career at that stage. You'd done a couple of episodes of Tudors. Had you done what do you call it at the same time? Had you done Game of Thrones by then as well?
Yeah, I did. I was a special extra in Game of Thrones. I had to learn how to ride a horse on that job.
Do special
I think
extras
I fell off before they shot. Yeah, Patrick's Day came along because Terry McMahon wrote this amazing script, and I was on the dole. I wasn't working. I hadn't worked in about a year, and this story about mental health came up, and I just had to get it. I had to. It just spoke to me, you know. And
you'd been to the Gaiety School of Acting at this stage.
Yeah, the 2 years there. Yeah, full time.
So when you came out of there, was it just that the big bad world was suddenly there in front of you, going, "Oh wow, it is hard to get work"? Or
yeah, but I did a lot of theatre. I did Shakespeare and site-specific plays and just intense like this and in the round, and that's where I got my bread and butter and the experience and learning and honing my craft was that, you know, theatre.
The Patrick's Day role, then, you might give us a sense of that, the setup in that film, because Patrick was a young man, as you say, with mental health issues, and there were questions, certainly in the case of his mother's minds, there were questions as to whether he was a fantasist or not, but he wasn't.
No. My idea of Patrick, if you've seen it, is everybody thinks he's crazy or schizophrenic, but I always thought he was the only normal one in the script, you know, and that's how I played the part. Because people put prejudice on people with mental health problems, but the problem is the stigma, and the problem is the shame, and the problem is the stigma about being unable to talk about it. And Patrick just wanted what we all want, which is love, which is a partner, a chance to be married, a chance to grow, and it was the outer forces not letting him have that.
Yeah, well, let's listen to a clip from Patrick's Day, and in this case, your mother was played by Carrie Fox, and the woman with whom Patrick was having some kind of a relationship was a flight attendant played by Catherine Walker. She was the Karen, and it's that name that you'll hear mentioned within this clip then from Patrick's Day.
You're right. I'm sorry. I met her.
Really?
At the hotel, we had a fight.
See? I told you. Told all of you. This isn't helping him. She was there. She knows her.
It's true.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you.
We had a fight at the hotel. I was there. As you say, Patrick, Karen is real. I met her.
What did you do?
Nothing.
What did she look like?
Patrick, it's okay. I know it's true. Karen is real. I met her.
What are you like? You never met her. Man, she's real. She's real. She's real.
Yeah.
Were you able to see that, or were you just listening?
No, we were just listeting to the
Oh,
audio.
okay, right.
Just listening to the audio. No, it wasn't up on the screen behind.
Intense experience.
Yeah, listening to clips actually is very different when you see them without the vision, but you get a real sense of the intensity of that performance. I'm interested that you thought in your mind he was the only sane one. Is that something you actually have to do, no matter what the character is? Because let's face it, you've played some cowboys in your time in various different parts. Do you have to think this guy is absolutely right in whatever he does and make no judgments on him, no matter what the character is?
For that specific character, he spoke to me, and I thought he was hard done by, and the system had let him down, and he was just left in this mental health institution where, in the place where we shot, they were still facilitating ECT, electric convulsive therapy, and I didn't have any judgment that he was doing anything wrong at all. Yeah.
So important that you didn't, I guess, to play the role.
Yeah.
I'll come to Nicola now, because I mentioned this idea, Nicola, about how life could almost have brought you in a different direction. Now, when Derry Girls came up, that's a little bit further on from the story I want to tell, which was you, at a point, you were doing bits of theatre, lots of theatre, I think, at this point, but it was a chance tweet about a play that, in fact, changed your mind when that play came through.
I was coming home from work one day and I saw a tweet from the Old Vic, and they were like, we're having open auditions for actors, and that never happens. And I'd been out of drama school maybe 4 or 5 years, I think.
And where had you been in drama school?
I had, I'd done a degree in NUIG, then I went to Oxford School of Drama and then Birmingham School of Acting to do my master's.
The degree in NUIG, were you, I remember I mentioned earlier on in reference to Jordanne sneaking into lectures.
Yeah.
Were you going to a lot of the English and classics lectures? Sorry to sound like your father now.
I went to some. I went to some, yeah. No, I definitely always knew I wanted to go to drama school, but I'm glad I did university. Yeah, I would never change that experience.
All right, so you did the English and classics there. Then you went off to the Oxford Drama School, which is in Oxford?
Yeah, it's in Oxfordshire. It's out in the middle of nowhere. It's in a farm. Everyone's like, it's like a cult. And it
just like here?
Yeah, exactly. Are we in a cult? Oh my God, this is great.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now you're in Galway. You're working in the opticians.
I was coming home on the bus and I saw the tweet, and then I rushed home and I just booked a spot, and I thought, you think this for every audition. You're like, what if this is the one that changes things? But it actually was. So I went and I auditioned in front of. They auditioned 1,500 actors, and out of that number, they picked about 7 of us, and I got one of the 7 places.
1,500, because I've often heard why not? 1,500 people, particularly dogs are provided as well as part of the experience. 1,500 people, I've often heard it about, auditions for ads where, literally there could be hundreds of people going, and it's just you walk in the door, they see your face. It's not the look they want. Okay. Thanks very much.
Yeah,
so it's kind of a cattle call feel to it.
It was, but it was an amazing thing for them to do, and they saw about 30 actors at a time, so we all had to audition in front of one another. And this always stuck with me. I can't remember who told me this, but they said no one ever left a performance and said that was too short or that was too funny. So I just thought, people went up and did like 3 minutes and something very sad about my husband died and then the dog and the famine, and I was like, no, I'm just going to get up and do something really, really snappy. It was from a play my friend Luke wrote called Chapel Street. So I did something from that, and then just sat down and thought, well, I've done it now and I'll see. But then that play, I got to perform it at the Old Vic. So it was a 2-hander, so that was an incredible experience. And
Jess and Joe Forever.
Yes, Jess and Joe Forever, yeah. And then the theatre called the Orange Tree really liked it, so they put it on the following year at a theatre in Richmond, and then my agent came to see that and signed me.
A big agent. This is the Curtis Brown agent.
Yeah,
that's a big
who were
agent.
my dream agency.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wrote to every agent in London, and none of them got back to me. It just things that line up. The girl who'd written the play was with Curtis Brown, so that's what that's why they came. But then they signed me, and my first audition with them was Derry Girls. Wow. So, but it was so. It's so close to having not happened, because for years I was trying to bang on doors, and I, sent every email and did everything. Yeah. So I feel bad when people are like, well, what do you need to do? Because I wish there was an easy answer.
Yeah. Were you reaching a point, before the Jess and Joe Forever, before that play, were you reaching a point where you're saying, you know what, I'm going to have to really think about what I'm doing here?
Yeah, I mean, I had no money. I was living back at home. I was 29, I guess, and I thought, well, I haven't done this. I've wanted, I actually, when you said it was a short career, I've been acting since I was 14.
Right.
That's when I had my first job, so I've been doing it such a long time, but it just didn't seem like it was going to happen, and I really was out of ideas. So that tweet just kind of changed everything.
Yeah, and Derry Girls, I think I think most people know the Nadine Coyle story, how you went in and you put on the Nadine Coyle's accent to get the part.
My intense knowledge of pop culture finally paid dividends,
You see, all that time watching Pop Stars was not wasted.
Yeah. We'd had it taped. It was on heavy rotation.
On repeat, yeah. But what really struck me is I've heard you saying a few times that lots of people said, don't do that. Who was saying that, and why were they saying that?
Don't do Nadine.
Yeah, don't do that act.
Oh, it's more so the girls in the cast now that are don't do that impression again.
Oh, right. That's what
they're really sick of it. I'm that is absolutely fair. That is fine.
So don't do the Nadine Coyle impression again after this one.
Do you really want me to do it?
Why not?
Okay.
Do we want to do it? Yeah, we do.
I never thought this would be my party piece. It's the only one I have. So okay.
And I don't know who was asking it. Was it Louis?
It was an off-camera thing. I mean, I know.
It was an off-camera thing.
She was in her room. They'd moved into the pop star's house, which I feel like was in Wicklow. And then she was doing. They're all doing their interviews. She was like, "My name's Nadine Coyle from Larkhill and Derry. Date of birth 15th the 6th 85. Mechamia Gemini. And what date of birth did I say? No, 15th the 6th. And then like days. And
all. Yeah, that's it. It is a moment of not only pop culture history for Nadine Coyle, but pop culture history now, I think, for Nicola Coughlan, because that won't be the last time you're ever asked that, I can promise you. So when you got to read then the character of Claire, was it immediate? Did you go, yeah, I know who she is, I want to be her, I want to be in this?
100%. I was still doing Jess and Joe Forever. We were doing a tour, and we were in a service station in Newcastle. And the script came through. My agent was like, "This is your first audition with us." I was like, "Oh, great." I remember opening it up, and I was like, "Oh, this is actually excellent." Because for years I auditioned for like the boring girlfriend that's like, "No, don't do that, man." And I was like, could never relate to that. So
and what pop star did you base her on?
All of them. No, but then I was like, these girls are actually well written. I was like, I feel like the friends I had in school, they're not like these ciphers, they're not stereotypes. And the first line I read was, "I'm not being an individual on my own." And I thought, well, that's like a perfect joke. That's really, really perfect. And yeah, it was immediately an amazing. I had a very strong feeling about it. I said to my sister, I said, "I don't know why, but I feel like I'm going to get this." Yeah. It was weird because you don't get that often, but yeah.
Let's go over to Alex, because I'm wondering, in terms of the wonderful Connor, I've talked about perhaps that Nicola hadn't gone to every lecture that she might have gone to when she was at NUIG. You were still at school when the film version of this was made. I mean, so please put that in time for me.
I was in 5th year whenever I saw just a Facebook post looking for 2 young lads. I was like, I'm that.
You're both them.
Yeah. I can do one of those parts. And so I sent in a tape of me. They just wanted you to talk about yourself. So I did that, and then I went in for an audition with Peter, the director and writer, and then got a call back, and I was in the room with Chris for like the other actor for 2.5 hours. And on the day, he just said, "Right, you got the parts," and it was great. But I mean, we didn't know what it was or.
Yeah, because lots of us still don't, and we've watched a few seasons of it now. We're still trying to work it out. But what really struck me about it, when I heard about it first, I presumed, I thought, all right, here's 2 young actors. They're saying we've got to make some work for ourselves. We can do these 2 characters. We'll bounce off each other. We'll improvise off each other. But in fact, it is I think, reasonably tightly scripted. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of the film was improvised because we were all finding our feet, and Peter obviously wrote the whole thing, but me and Chris helped develop the characters. And then when season 1 came around, you didn't really need to improvise as much because Peter knew them just as well, if not more, than we did. And now we still do a lot of improvising. It's great fun, but yeah, it is still very much tightly knit in the script. But yeah, I was only 17, and
so were you doing your leaving cert? What stage were you at?
I got Thursdays and Fridays off school to 5th year, and so I got filming from Thursday to Sunday, and I had, before I got the part, I had a family holiday booked. So I was like, I have to go away for 2 weeks, and because no one was really getting paid either. They were like, okay, but I wasn't allowed to tan, so I was there in my UV protective rash vest, sombrero for 2 weeks. It was a nightmare.
Although it would kind of suit Connor to have a vest tan, wouldn't it? Really?
Yeah,
exactly. He could go with one of those if you'd worn the vest. Where did you go on the holiday?
Salou or something.
Yeah. It's a really important detail for me.
Yeah.
You know? But so that was 5th year when the film was done.
Yeah.
And you had Thursdays and Fridays off. What then? How long did you actually stop and do the leaving cert with no acting in between, or what way did that work?
Yeah, pretty much. Took a while for it to come out, and it came out at the Galway Film Fleadh 3 years ago recently.
So that was the summer after you did. You go on, Nicola?
I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you remember seeing it?
Yeah, I remember. I loved it. I thought it was amazing because my sister has been friends with Hilary, who plays Alex's mum, since they were little girls. So I went to see, and I was like, this is the best Irish film I've seen in the longest time. It was such a weird... and here we are now, Alex. Look at us now.
Yeah, and you know something, this could be the start of a beautiful relationship, because you and Chris
Yeah.
Yeah, you've said this several times, Alex. So can we have the Young Offenders Derry Girls proposal, please, live?
Well, everyone keeps saying that, but I mean, we need to find a time machine because
Yeah.
you're in a completely different.
The Derry girls would be in their 40s.
That's
hanging
true.
out with a bunch of
Yeah.
teenagers that would be
So we
very
can do it, but
dodgy.
you wouldn't be in it.
Yeah.
So.
But hold on a minute. I was thinking about this. I've had a whole week to think about this.
Sorry, go on.
So what if the girls all had daughters
Okay.
who looked exactly like themselves?
Or else I could play Connor's McSweeney's dad.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're getting some.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
What about you two? You want to be in it?
Film it down here as well.
Yeah.
Holiday
was my
special in
idea.
Dungarvan.
Do I even get to be part of this? Yeah, thanks. Okay. Jordanne, save me, please. So he was doing his leaving cert when he started on Young Offenders. Take us back to that thing I said in the introduction. Well, first of all, the character of Amy. What age were you actually when you did that part?
So Amy was the first role that I'd ever played, like in a film. It was Frank Berry's I Used to Live Here, and I would have been 12. Yeah, I would have been 12.
So you weren't even a teenager.
No, I
Yeah.
wasn't a teenager. No, and I think I was playing a 14-year-old. Amy was 14. I had just started first year, and we filmed every weekend for about 5 months, 5 months every weekend. I didn't miss school.
You didn't get Thursday and Friday off.
I did miss a lot of 6th year though. That's when you're like, fuck it. But so I was 12. Yeah, that was the first role that I've ever done. Yeah.
And it wasn't, let's face it, I mean, it wasn't gentle kind of easygoing stuff. It was tough material you were dealing with there.
Yeah, it was like it was definitely very important, and I knew the importance of it even though I was really young, because it was about cluster suicides and the ripple effect of suicide amongst young people in working class areas, and sadly that was something that I was familiar with coming from a working class area. So yeah, it just I really wanted to do the part and deliver a message to people, and it ended up doing really well. And I had gone to Czech Republic Film Festival with it when I was about 14, and I remember being at Czech Republic and feeling like I had to take it all in. I was almost like in a panic. I was like, this is never going to happen again. But then I had just landed a role in Rebellion, a series, and that was like a big production with my own trailer and everything, and I was like, whoa, who am I? Yeah.
And Rebellion, and then you were in the second series as well, Resistance.
Yeah, Resistance, yeah.
Character of Minnie, who she really came into her own in Resistance, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought so too, yeah, I'm glad.
She was a
yeah.
bit of a gun hider, wasn't it
Yeah,
Minnie who hid the guns for the
savage.
lad? Yeah.
Yeah. I felt so cool.
But explain then the other thing I said in the introduction, which was you sneaking into lectures in Trinity. How did you even come to be in Trinity? This is to do with your mum.
Yes. So, how did it start? Oh, yeah. So, so when I was about in third year, I had my heart set on to go to NCAD. I actually got a scholarship there and all to do, like I was going to do fine art, and that was my thing. And then my mum had been elected the SU president of Trinity College. We got accommodation there at Front Square, and it was like surreal. So I remember telling my friends at school, I was like, I'm moving into Trinity College, and they were like, "What, are you going to sleep on a desk?" Like they just didn't understand that there was like accommodation there and everything. So it really did feel like a whole new world. So I stayed there front entrance, and I just took advantage of being there on campus. Like the campus was lovely. It felt like you were like walking into like a new little city or something. The atmosphere was really nice. So I just took full advantage and was kind of went into English lectures every now and then just to give it a go. Just normal
And
things.
you met Baz Luhrmann.
I met Baz Luhrmann, yeah.
The way
oh my God.
normal things like that, yeah?
I was working up to that bit. So so there was a Q&A on in, where's my mum? Where was it again? Yeah, the Phil.
Your mum is Senator Lynn Moran. Is she here this evening? Is she here with us today? Is
Yeah,
she?
she was there too, yeah. It was in the Phil, and my mum let me off the first half of school, so it didn't let me off the second half, to go see Baz Luhrmann. And I asked him a question, because I loved Romeo and Juliet, and I remember the question I asked him. I said, do you think modernising Romeo and Juliet brought a new audience to Shakespeare? And he was like, are you in your uniform? I was like, yes. And he was like, I have to speak to you after, like, I'm really impressed, like, that you've asked the question. So I got to, like, me and my mum got to go, like, meet Baz Luhrmann, like, backstage, like, after and everything, and talk to him. So I was like, I'm going here. Yeah.
What was his,
NCAD doesn't have Baz Luhrmann. No.
what was his answer, by the way?
Oh
I
God,
presume he said yes.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
And do you remember any of the conversation with him
No, I think I
afterwards?
was in shock, to be honest. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, you're listening to an arena special from All Together Now Festival in Waterford. With me on RT's Now stage are actors Jordanne Jones, Alex Murphy, Moe Dunford, and who else is with me? Nicola Coughlan is here as well, isn't she? Yes. And over in the corner, she's still here. Please sit down. Over in the corner also is David Keenan, Dundalk musician. He's going to give us a song now. I believe this one's called The Healing.
It is, yeah.
Well, let's have it. The Healing.
Shot back inside. Dinner plate, eyes blown wide. Pigeon-chested young man, brother, steps out of a tomb of toxicity and ruin. Spent his money on cheap wine. Hold me, I am only a moment away. Hold me, I am only a moment away. The dogs on the street sing your praises, the heat saps the sweat from your skin. The war is nearly done, man. Are you ready for the healing? Are you ready for the healing? Shaken by a surname succinct, written in the wings we watched. Your face frozen like the hands of Clary's clock. The war is nearly done. Are you ready for the healing? I barely know mates standing at the school gates. Spy a poster for the French Foreign Legion. Gonna join the ranks with me grandfather's blade, with me beacon and me brush, new tattoo and a lip. Oh, Julianne, with your eyes of opals, the hair spotted you just for being open. A basting of youth in a world that's ripped right open. The softly spoken Truth Brigade. Hold me, I'm only a moment away. Hold me, I'm only a moment away. The man on the street lets the air at his feet. Somebody dies, a child gets born. The war is nearly done, man. Are you ready for the healing? Are you ready for the healing?
Dave Keenan with a song called The Healing. We'll be back with more from Waterford after this break. Nicola, we spoke earlier on about Dairy Girls, obviously, and you know the whole idea of how you went about even getting the accent for starters. But what age? I mean, this is set. It's set in and around the time. I think the first season is just coming up to the Good Friday Agreement, isn't it?
1994.
Yeah, so we're a bit ahead of the Good.
2 is 95, but the timeline sort of jumps because I mean we had the episode with, you know, the 12th. We had that in sort of the middle, and then they were back at school the next one. So it's not really a linear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it kind of moves around all in 1 year.
But if we were to kind of pick up something to anchor it down, you could say, well, in and around the time of the Good Friday Agreement, because that's certainly that's there at the end of season 2. What age were you in Galway when the Good Friday Agreement happened?
I was about 8.
So you weren't listening to it on the news and thinking,
well, do you know what's funny? Because I was talking to my sister. I have a niece and nephew who are 8 and 9, and we were saying the way they never see the news, but it was just always on for us. You know, as kids of the 90s, you know, you had the 2 channels. Well, I did anyway. I wasn't fancy like some of you. But, yeah, so we did watch the news. We always had an awareness of what was going on. Like, not massively, but it was definitely there that we knew it was going on, yeah.
So you were aware of that, but
Yeah.
and when it came to, and I know that the series doesn't focus in very heavily on the Troubles, but they're certainly there as a backdrop. And Lisa McGee was, who was the writer, was the age of the girl. She is, I suppose, she's Erin effectively.
She's a little bit young. She would have been a little bit younger at the time. She would have been like 12, 13.
Right.
But yeah, it's mad because it's all based on her experience and her real friends. And like you said, I met the real life Claire Devlin. I was so nervous to meet her. It was a terrifying experience, because in this job you meet a lot of well-known people and people you've known since you were a kid, but something about meeting her really terrified me because I thought, what if she hates me? What if she's like, yeah, but she was like, am I that wee crying one? And at least was like, yeah, sorry. Also, she's not gay just because her friends at work the next day were like, oh my god, Aoife, but she's not.
Yeah,
she's
because
married.
Claire comes out as gay at the end of
Yes,
season 1,
yes.
and that actually brings up an interesting point that I think will work across for everybody here. When you're in a comedy series like that and you're treating quite serious material, that was a bit of a challenge really to do that, wasn't it?
It was terrifying. I always say if it was a drama, it would have been a million times easier because you would have just known to play the truth of it. But when you're playing that scene as a comedy scene, it was really scary because I thought, I don't want anyone to think I'm making fun of their experience. I know, and I get so many messages from young boys, young girls saying, the representation means so much and that's so lovely. But Saoirse and I, we filmed that scene at the end of week 1. So we didn't even know each other very well, and we had to seem like we were best pals since we were little kids. So it was terrifying, and we weren't sure we'd gotten it right. So we saw it on the telly and we went, I think it's okay. I hope it's okay. But yeah, it was definitely scary.
So you filmed that quite early on. So you were aware as you were filming the...
Well, I knew from when I first got the script. So I knew I knew 6 months before the other girls, basically.
And did you have to sit and not keep quiet?
No, it was totally a coincidence. I didn't know because they got episode 6. They were like, Claire's gay. I was like, yeah. I knew that all along. So
you just hadn't bothered to.
I didn't know them at the very beginning of the audition process, and then by the time we got the scripts, I just thought everyone knew. But yeah.
And it's added. It's compounded by the fact that Claire, the character of Claire, she's this person who will say one thing to one person, and if she needs to say the direct opposite to please somebody else, she'll say the direct opposite. So she's capable of saying I'm gay in one sentence and I'm not gay to somebody else 3 seconds later.
I don't know about that one. I think she's pretty sure she's gay. But she definitely, I would say she's a Machiavellian genius. She'll do what she needs to do, you know.
Well, the clip I have is one that shows exactly that. This is it's episode 1, I think, actually, isn't it? Yes, it's in the very first episode, and we've met all the girls that've been coming to school together on the bus. And they've been giving this girl down the back of the bus a bit of trouble. But
Wee Sheila.
Yeah, Wee Sheila. But it turns out Wee Sheila has a sister called...
Big Mandy.
Big Mandy. And you don't mess with Wee Sheila because...
But we thought Big Mandy was going to be really scary. And then they cast the sweetest looking girl with the loveliest face. We were like, that's Big Mandy. She's so lovely looking. But yeah, she was great.
So real acting going on for that, yeah. But so they've arrived in, and the prefect, of course, has... grassed them in, and they're being called up to Sister Michael's office. So they're outside Sister Michael's office, and Claire professes loyalty to start out with anyway.
Shut your short holes, let's go.
Nobody move.
You better do as I say,
Or what?
or there'll be consequences.
Such as...
We'll beat you up.
Wonderful. Really, Michelle? Go on then.
What?
Beat me up.
Not now. After school. We'll beat you up after school.
Grand, I'll meet you after school and you can beat me up.
What's happening exactly?
I'll bring my sister, Mandy. You might know her. Mandy O'Connell. She's an upper sec.
Big Mandy. Big Mandy's your sister?
That's right.
Right.
We need to stop there. Because that's the very beginning of the scene, and it's 5 minutes, 6 minutes long. So we need to get to the part. It's if I remember right, I had it written down. So it was 2 minutes and a bit in. Yeah. So we'll just get to the point. We can edit all of this out for Monday night, but we'll get to the section where you can just if it's all there, let it play, and we'll have the if we just let the whole is it all there? It's too long. Look, well, what has happened was, maybe actually, can we do a kind of a reenactment of it here? We'll take this out. Not a total reenactment of it. But she's standing outside the door and she says to all of them,
Look, whatever happens in there, we have to stick each other up, or back each other up.
Back each other up. She goes straight in and grasses
That had nothing to do with me. Yes, okay, I was there, I admit that, but I didn't do anything. It was Michelle, it was all Michelle. It's been about 2 years ago we filmed that scene, so still in there somewhere.
And that's our little secret. So now we've just heard the clip on radio. So Sister Michael, yes. Don't laugh, please. So there we have Siobhan McSweeney as Sister Michael and Nicola Coughlan as Claire, encouraging loyalty and then grassing everybody. Is that kind of typically who she is, you know? And how do you play that and still like her?
I was worried people would really not like her because I knew a girl like that in school and she used to wreck my head. I was like, she would always telling us and you'd just be like, why? I ran into her in the supermarket not that long ago and I was like, I hope she doesn't know. Like, she definitely knows. She definitely knows. But the real life Claire said to me, I was the original Shite the Tights. And Lisa said she used to be the one that she didn't mean to do it, but she
what
just...
does that phrase mean?
Shite the Tights.
Yeah. I thought that was a Derry phrase, is it?
It's yeah. It's a someone of a nervous disposition, maybe. Yeah.
That's the dictionary definition.
I guess.
Yeah. But that's what she is. She really does get frightened if there's
yeah, and I
anything
mean,
going
she tries to be, but I really enjoy the scenes where Erin and Claire are really sanctimonious. Like the scene about the travellers, like, that's racist, and then they're all this. And then there's, you know, Claire starts screaming, like, I don't want to die. Like, you know, they just, like, really quickly turn on their morals.
In your case, Alex, I mean, I was kind of surprised, and from listening to you speak in your own voice, we can hear that you don't have quite the thick Cork accent that Connor has in Young Offenders. Who was it that gave you the help with that? Was it a Cork rapper with the brilliant name of Boney?
I've made Boney very famous. I talk about him all the time. Lovely Boney. I'd love to meet him.
You've never actually met him?
No, I've never met him. I don't know what he's doing. I hope he's all right.
So
he's just this Cork MC, and he has like 2 interviews on YouTube, and they're very funny. So me and Chris would write them out phonetically the whole interview, and you know, Tommy Tiernan actually has a good stand-up bit about the Cork accent. It's essentially the French accent. They're very similar. So
let me hear the French accent from Cork.
Like, I can go to the shop. I can go to the shop. It's like it's very, it's very close. It's uncanny.
I don't know what part of France
I've never.
Tommy Tiernan has been to. It's kind of a bit of a stretch. That one. But, you know, did yourself and Chris, did you go out and try to meet, or did you know from growing up in Cork? Would you know guys?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. We were both in school, so
yeah,
it's not an uncommon accent. It's
no.
Just
But would you have known guys like Connor and Jock?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. But you say that you can, like, there's no point in judging your characters. Like, there's a lot of stuff that he does that I'm not particularly, that I wouldn't do. But there's no point in judging him because even though they do quite bad things, people seem to like the characters. So it's like, you gotta ask yourself, why do you like them? This is not my fault.
But I guess that's down to Peter Foot and the way he's written, and much the same as Lisa. If they're written in that way, really it's a matter...
It's not your job to make them likeable. You need to play them truly. Like Laurence Olivier said, Darth Vader didn't think he was a bad guy. And that's, you know, you have to always remember that. Even though I would never do, you know, I'm sure at Claire, you know, you wouldn't do that, but you can't judge them for it. That's not your job.
Yeah, and I touched on this with you earlier, Mo, about this idea of bad guys. I mean, I'm thinking of somebody like Fitzgibbon in Black 47.
He was a bad bastard. Yeah.
Okay. Phew! I thought you were going to.
He wasn't likable at all.
No, but how do you play
I liked
that?
him. He was alright.
I liked him.
Yeah. How do you play it, somebody, you know? Because you know he was he an RAC man? Was that what he was? Yeah. So he's an RAC man, and he had no mercy for anybody. And I wouldn't even want him to be in the same station with him as an RAC man.
No, he was no crack.
It wasn't much, but he was a nasty bit of work. Yeah. But how can you do that and, you know, not just play this villain that you're twirling a moustache?
Well, I literally just grew out my moustache. That's all I did to play that character. Just grew the beard. That's all. There wasn't much required for that. Other roles then, Michael inside, he was. Again, that thing about not judging your characters, it's their situation and their environment that they're put in. I played a nasty piece of work in Frank Berry's movie, and again, it's the environment they're put in, and they don't think they're bad people, the characters you play sometimes.
Yeah, actually, just to explain a bit further with the Michael inside, the character of David Furlong, one thing that really struck me with him, you know, not surprising that we're talking with the lads about... you're all young actors, even though you might think you're older actors, Nicola. You're not.
Thanks very much.
You're all very young actors. You know, we're talking about a lot of character tours because they're rites of passage stories, generally. In the case of David Furlong, he's been through the system. But what I found amazing about him is he pours scalding hot water over a fellow prisoner at one point. But yet somehow you manage by the end of that we kind of understand that David Furlong himself is damaged and is a victim of the system. You know, did you work out an imagined biography for him, or how did you go about that?
Again, Jordanne will tell you this. Frank Berry he's an extraordinary man. He put a lot of work and 2 years of prep into workshopping that script with actual prisoners who came out. So it's their stories, and I suppose the only thing I got from that was I imagined the character of David Furlong to be what Michael was, that he was once upon a time similar to Michael 15 years before that. So I just thought there was a bit of a kind of a fatherly like a dark fatherly like relationship between them.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that sent you to look for that part was in fact having seen Jordanne and the fellow who plays Michael, David.
Yes, absolutely. David Flynn.
Yeah,
I saw them and I wrote to Frank Berry because what Jordanne and David did in I Used to Live Here was incredibly important about teenage suicides, incredibly important. And I think of all the filmmakers in the country right now, he's just incredible. He's the best.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously there was a seminal experience for you in that respect, Jordan. It was the first thing you'd done. You were 12. You hard to do much before that. But what kind of do you remember the way that Frank would handle you on set, or maybe because very dark themes that I would guess with a 12-year-old, with anybody, would have to be handled very carefully. Did he do stuff on set that you thought when you look back on it now you can see how sensitive that handling was?
The good thing about Frank is that he's such a lovely person and he's so calm, and he really just opens up a space for you, like a really nice like environment for you to kind of just do your thing. Like he does so much but does so little at the same time, I found. And as well, a lot of I Used to Live Here was improv as well. He wanted it to be natural and come from us, because it was their story too, coming from a working class area and having dealt with suicide. And so yeah, he kind of just gave us a gist of what was happening, and allowed us to sit back and think of how that might make us feel, and then just give us the gist of what's happening. Then the scene would kind of just come to life. So it was a really open space. And that's why I think that one of the reasons why I Used to Live Here done so well, because it wasn't this 40-year-old man's giving us a script to read. Like we knew enough to give it to him too. So yeah.
Yeah, and obviously that's put real pressure on any director that has to direct you from now out, because that's a high standard to have to meet up to. I would have thought. In term again, I'm thinking of the two boys here, Alex, Connor and Jock. Yes, they're comic characters, but there's a kind of a lostness in them too. They're kind of. Let's just listen to a clip, because I think this gives us a sense of the camaraderie. This is from the film actually, and it's where the setup is. They think they can get drugs from a real life drug. There was stuff that had fallen off a boat on the coast of Cork, and it did fall off a boat on the coast of Cork. And they thought, we'll take some of this back and we'll sell it. So they're wondering now what would happen if we sell these drugs and we have €1 million. What would we do with it?
Imagine if we had €1 million. What would you like to do? Think of something. What would you like to do? Pick anything you like. What would you like to do?
Put me on the spot.
Anything, like, come on.
Wait, no, like, what's the budget?
1 million? You just said it.
Do you want me to choose like an activity or like an object?
Whatever you want to do, just pick something,
I don't know, like skydiving.
Grant? No bother, you can go skydiving. I'll get you a plane and a parachute, and you can skydive all the time, whenever you want. Where would you like to live?
Mansion.
Mansion? Grand, not a bother. We live in the City Hall?
Well, Lord Mayor lives there, like.
Well, yeah, we won't actually live in the City Hall, but we make a gaff just like the City Hall, you know what I mean?
We put it there.
Yeah, build our own right here.
Looking over the city,
Big mansion, looking over the city.
We need a butler, or...
Yeah, to clean the house, yeah, we get one of them fellas, like.
Batman.
Yeah, well, he could run the gaff with his English accent, but it'd be unbelievable.
Let's wake up to that every morning.
Yeah, wait. Right.
What's that?
What you on for breakfast?
You were some tea, son.
So cool, right? And we can have our own cave as well, like the back cave, or we just call it the boys' cave.
Ah, the boys' cave.
We have pool tables, pinball machines, lab lamps, loads of lab lamps,
Big gold walls.
big gold walls,
Furry curtains.
40 curtains, and we got like loads of bjorns with their tits out lying across the cars.
Ah, like Spanish yours.
Yeah,
Like-
Spanish bjorns. We look like legends. Whenever we went.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Chris Wally and Alex Murphy, what do you want to say, Mo?
Was that improv?
Yeah.
That's it. All of it.
Yeah,
Was
to,
it?
to bring it up.
Sorry.
Now we know your secret fantasies, Alex.
Furry curtains.
Furry curtains. Love a bit of furry curtains.
And what was with the English accents? What rapper did you use to learn those English
That
accents?
was my Uncle Mick. Yeah.
Poor
Good
guy. Does he actually speak like that?
Yeah.
But do you get what I mean though about the tenderness in the two guys? It's there in that scene, isn't
Well, there's
it?
a line. It's people. They say like you rob a bike, but you give the person £3 to get the bus home. Like they don't want to. They don't want to hurt anyone. They're just trying to get by. And if you take someone's bike who has a load of money, fuck them.
Okay, we'll be back with more from All Together now after this break. Welcome back to this final part of an arena special from the All Together Now Festival with actors Jordanne Jones, Moe Dunford, Nicola Coughlan and Alex Murphy. So then we have When Moe Met Jordanne, which is the most recent play. Metal Heart, tell us a little bit about Metal Heart and the setup for that. Maybe Jordanne, why don't you tell us a little bit about what... It's Hugh O'Connor, who we know as an actor, is the director here.
Well, I first met Hugh O'Connor. He actually played a doctor on, I think it was just a little part, a doctor in Resistance, the second series. And I didn't really pay attention. So then when I got the news for the audition for Metal Heart, and Hugh O'Connor had Skyped me, and then I had gone to the audition, and I think there was about 2 auditions, and there was a self-tape. All happened really quickly. And then he was like, "Oh, John," I was like, "Why is this fella acting like he knows me?" But he was on the same series as me, so I hadn't even realized that I had worked with him as an actor.
Yeah.
And we had scenes together. I don't know, but yeah. So I had met him, so that was really nice as well to kind of just feel comfortable that you had already worked with someone, whether you remember or not.
And have you watched My Left Foot?
No, I haven't.
You know that's
I
Hugh
really
O'Connor.
should. Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah, you have to go and watch that.
Yeah, like he's an amazing actor.
Amazing in that, yeah.
And
as
it
a
definitely, I definitely noticed that it did benefit me to have a director that was also an actor. Like there was something a bit different about it, and it really, they just really knew how to talk to you. And well, we're not animals. We're not animals. Like this, like you know what I mean. Like he knew how to like get us into our role really, because he had been there before. So I thought that was really nice.
And the other thing, I mean, particularly in this role, because if you think about what you were saying about I used to live here, and some of the other stuff you'd be done, which had been quite, dark and pretty heavy material. Resistance and Rebellion, not particularly heavy, but historical.
Oh no, heavy. Yeah, as a prostitute. What do you mean?
And a gun runner as well.
And a gun runner, yeah.
That's 2 things to be handling all in one go. But I'm also thinking with another one that was a fairly serious side to it was the thing you did with Emmett Kerwin, the online Heartbreak, isn't it? Yeah. So explain what that was.
Yeah, so that was filmed the time that people were getting ready to vote for the 8th Amendment. So that was a really important piece to put out at that time about a young mother. She finds herself in a crisis pregnancy, and I had seen Emma Kerwin perform Heartbreak at the Royal Festival, and it was unbelievable. And so I was delighted to take part in that.
Yeah, because I mean, suppose Mo, you've dealt with it to a certain extent with Vikings. Although I think with Vikings, it was when you died, when you got the bee sting, that people were really kind to you. So a little bit of the reaction you got to that, because I want to talk about the reaction in different ways that you've all got. Was it fans? Yeah, yes. Were there fans that wrote you saying, "I'm sorry, you're out of the series"?
Well, what happens is the producers come up to you. And I used to always laugh at my castmates because I was like, "Oh, there's your man now. He's about to be told he's about to die. This will be good fun." And then when it happened to me, I got some shock because I misheard the producer, Morgan O'Sullivan. He said, Mo, we're really glad what you've done over the past few years, but you're going to die of a bee sting. And I misheard him, and I thought he said basting. And I was like, that's unfair, man. The character doesn't deserve that. I'm not going to basting. I was like, no, a bee sting. I'm like, I nearly laughed in his face, man. Like, what? But it was different. Went with it. It was a shock.
I guess, yeah, but like Game of Thrones. But at least in the case of the Vikings, there were kind of historical parallels, so you could kind of guess, well, if you went looking, this guy's going to die at some point.
Yeah, but this guy didn't die of a bee sting.
Oh, did he not?
You know what I mean?
Did he have a really heroic death in real life?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Well, in the real life that you're inventing for him.
Yeah, I just liked that he didn't. He died with his family around him. And I liked that, you know, the character became more likable as the seasons went on. You know, to begin with, he wasn't. No, it was good.
Classic
the Vikings didn't kill me in the end, so I was happy.
Classic Moe Dunford character. You don't like him in the beginning, and you really like him at the end. That's something that you seem to be able to do. But
it was the opposite with me and
Jordanne. Which brings us to the character between you two, which is that idea. I'll come back to it, but I want to ask Nicola. The reaction to Derry Girls, phenomenal and out of nowhere, I suppose, in some ways. Same thing with Young Offenders. This huge reaction all of a sudden. What kind of reaction was there to an online reaction to Emmett Kerwin? That's what I wanted to come to you on, Jordanne.
Bad, wasn't it, Ma? No, the majority was really good, thankfully. A lot of people were behind us and thought the message was really strong and, you know, done really well. And of course, like, Emmett Kerwin's like creative genius, like, he's amazing. Everything that he performs and delivers is incredible. But yeah, there was a few older men on Twitter that like just didn't like me and probably didn't like Emma Kerwin either, but I got a lot of it, and you know, I wasn't, you know, necessarily like delivering the message through like the same way that Emma was doing it. I was
so basically the two of you speak certain lines at the same time. You're saying
exactly.
them directly to a bunch of men who are hassling the character on the street.
But you know, like, my mom has had her fair share of, you know, hate comments and everything, and she has it rough sometimes on Twitter, but she comes home and she gives me and Jane a hug, and you know, when we make dinner and we sit and watch telly, and then you just kind of are like, you know, they're really just comments, like, and so I've kind of learned from my mom especially to not read the comments. I think it's the worst thing that you can do. As long as you're staying true to you and you're delivering the message you want to deliver, I don't think that what anyone else has to say should really impact your decision.
All right, I think we almost have to wrap. Can I just quickly ask everybody what is next for all of you? Let's start with you, Mo.
Yeah, I'm doing an action movie in London, a lead role. It's like The Raid, and it's my first lead role in London, so that's the latter part of the year. Yeah, I want to do an action movie.
Got to do an action movie, which must be a step towards Bond.
Your man, the free runner Casino Royale is in it, the guy at the start and the cranes. I'm fighting him in the movie.
Yeah. All right, yeah.
Looking forward to that.
On your way.
Hopefully there's no bees.
Nicola, your season 3 is season 3 now completed?
No, it's being written at the minute. I'm currently
big Netflix series.
Yeah,
Can you tell us?
I'm in Sean Denny Rhymes' new show for Netflix with Julie Andrews.
Yeah. Who are you playing? What's it like?
I play a character called Penelope Featherington. So she's not from Derry, shocking, yeah, but it's a big old production. I mean, I did one audition for it. I did a tape and I didn't think about it, but apparently Shonda, she decides who she wants, and then you get the job, and my imposter syndrome is really up there right now, but I'll get over it. I have night shoots all next week, so I have to fly back to London right after this.
Jordanne?
4:30 finish.
All right. What's next for you?
So I just finished another period piece set in the Victorian ages called Dead Still. So yeah, that should be out. It's RT, so it should be out next year. So looking forward to it. Yeah.
And Alex?
Yeah, we have 6 more weeks left filming The Young Offenders.
What season are we on now?
2.
Season 2.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. And and then maybe go back to Salou, seeing as I never enjoyed that holiday. And get a bit of a tan.
Put on a vest. All right, well, listen, we're going to finish up with some music, but this has been a great crack talking to all of you. Thanks to our guests, Nicola Coughlan, Moe Dunford, Jordanne Jones, and Alex Murphy. I'd like particularly to mention Leah Murphy, who was coordinated this event for us here in Arena and put this amazing panel together. What a Christmas present you gave me, Leah. Dear Santa. I'll leave you now with David Keenan, another song. What's this one called, David?
Origin of the World.
Origin of the World.
You're standing by. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks a mil.
I'm singing this song in an act of rebellion.
But if I wear a white shirt, would my appearance seem clean?
I've emptied my skull of stale symbolism.
From my fingers I scrubbed you like a nicotine stain.
Craving some daylight and the sobering cold.
Oh, I'd heard of that deity, from a yarn had been told.
By an elder of our tribe,
with the mind of a hunter. He had the spirit of a bird and the soul of an orphan. He released in me wisdom
and happy endorphins.
Wish me luck, I'm in trouble again. I'm in love with a woman friend. Wish me luck, I'm in trouble again. I'm in love with a woman friend.
So I let her to whistle,
and me hands came a yelping, yelping, yelping. Our Diana, she bathes in that there pond beyond those ditches. I hear an act of contrition from Christopher Hitchens. Send all the opium smokers off to the astral plane.
Then I moved to the forest while unraveling the linen
I had placed on me chisel and me well-worn blade. From her tongue and her teeth I bear the marks of a slave. Wish me luck, I'm in trouble again. I'm in love with a woman friend.
Being chased by this beast, many young fellas died.
Poets digging their trenches have been buried alive by this clandestine creature with a kill in her eyes.
Oh, would Luna and Lupa both emerge from the den if they gazed even once into the origin of men? Oh, would Luna or Lupa both be put to the sword if they dared
even once touch the origin of the world? Wish me luck, I'm in trouble again. I'm in love with a woman friend.
Wish me luck, I'm in trouble again.
Sure, I'm in love